Hi, everyone. I'm Allison Whittaker, and I work with List Self Storage. As you may know, List is a platform for buying, selling, and financing self storage, conversion, and development property listings. And we recently launched our platform in the UK. So these video chats are a forum in which self storage professionals can discuss common industry questions and hiccups that they encounter. Each session focuses on different aspects of buying and selling properties, and they'll be yours to view anytime, anywhere. If you have any questions following the video chat, please email them to me, Allison, Alison, at listselfstorage.com. So today we wanted to discuss the current state of the market and the direction in which we're headed. And we're joined today by Paul Whittaker. Hi, Paul.
Hello, good afternoon. It's here in the UK, Alison. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic, thank you.
Great. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and your experience in the industry?
Of course I can, yes. My name's Paul Whittaker for Shore Store Self-Storage here over in the UK. I've been involved in the industry for roughly around about 8 or 9 years nowadays, and traditionally came from an insurance and a manufacturing background. So my self-storage knowledge was very, very limited when I fell into the industry those few years ago. But I've been very, very fortunate. I started with a relatively small independent organization which had 5 sites. That was sold then to a national organization which I stayed on to help with the transition, and that has 90 sites in the UK. That's the big yellow group and armadillo group in the UK. I stayed there for a period of time before I was asked to join Mike Wilson, who is from Smart Storage, or was from Smart Storage, and has spent time being the chair of the Self Storage Association in the UK. Joined him at Smart Storage, worked there for 3 or 4 years, should I say, and then we exited. We sold our 6 sites that we had, and we started Shore Store. And since then, it's been a roller coaster this last 2 or 3 years of incredible growth and quite a few complex decision-making things that we've had to do as well.
Wow, that's great. It's funny because you talk about, entering the storage industry and, it's so unexpected. I had someone explain it to me. It's like when you get a new car that you've never really thought of before, and all of a sudden you see that car everywhere, just everywhere.
It's frightening. I love bringing on our new teams at the moment, and they say exactly the same to me. They didn't know this industry existed in the UK. It's still growing. It's still a developing industry here in the UK, and they never noticed self-storage before they turned to it. And now they seem to see them on every single street corner almost.
Well, that's one of the things that actually attracted us to the UK market, is that there's demand from an investment perspective, but there's also demand from a consumer perspective. So you have just like the best of both worlds right now.
Very much so. I mean, the UK market, since the financial crash that we suffered over here in 2008, the industry ploughed through that period of time, should we say, and survived where a lot of other industries didn't. Right. And since then, it's been a case of growth. And it's been a fantastic industry to be a part of. And to see that growth and to see how it's moving in technology, in construction, and how the industry is developing as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really exciting. I'll just jump right into it, kind of on the topic too, but what trends are you currently seeing regarding investment opportunities?
Investment opportunities are plentiful, quite frankly, in the UK. They seem to be coming in from all kinds of directions, whether it's individuals, whether it's investment groups, funds, as well as obviously money from the industry that's obviously recycling and regenerating itself. One of the big things that I am noticing, though, is it's the struggle and the difficulty in finding assets. Certainly existing assets of a certain quality that investors and investment groups would want to be part of. That's the struggle in the UK. There's quite a difference in generations and different types of facilities, where we're starting from, as we had here in the UK, as I'm sure it was the same in the States, a lot of the buildings were old, decrepit, Victorian almost buildings as they were here, old mills and things such as that, which were converted into self-storage. And then obviously the warehousing that came after that. And what we're finding is a lot of the institutional investors aren't really interested in these types of facilities. They've got too many problems with them. They're not necessarily located in the right areas in a town or city. And therefore, what they're looking for is these brand new fourth and fifth generation, as we're nearly coming towards now, state-of-the-art facilities, which host not only self-storage, but a plethora of different opportunities to create revenue.
Oh, that's really interesting. The institutional capital, I think their entrance definitely changed the scope in the US and just a lot of different investment strategies. So um, can you talk a little bit about your strategy as a developer and how you select market?
Very much so, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one. It's difficult because, again, we're talking about where do we find locations, where do we find sites, and I think that's what it comes down to in the UK here at this moment in time. The power of the web is incredibly important, as we all know, and making sure you've got the correct platform is second to none as far as generating inquiries. However, what we're still noticing in the UK is the educational aspect of it isn't there. In the US, I think it's a little bit different. I think everybody really understands and knows and has a knowledge of self-storage and how it works and how it operates and the multitude of reasons it can be used. Whereas in the UK, that education isn't there. So we still need to have these AAA locations on main primary routes in the UK with high visibility because it helps to get that message out there to people.
That's very interesting. So do you see anything like with respect to marketing online? Because you did kind of touch on that. Any like Google AdWords or SEO, is that a part of the marketing strategy at all?
A massive
Okay.
part of it. As far as budgets are concerned, I know some of the companies in the UK spend 95, 98% of their marketing budgets on Google, SEO, web-based platforms. I think we're a little bit less than that. I still feel as if there's an awful lot to be had from touching and being close to your local communities. By investing time, money, resources into these local communities of your catchment area of your sites. Because in the UK, your catchment area is typically between 5 and 7 miles. It
Okay.
changes from location to location, but typically I've found 5 to 7 miles is your catchment area. So you have to make sure that you are well involved with the communities in these areas. So just paying our good friends at Google lots of money to be able to be high up on the rankings isn't always the solution.
That's a really, really good point. It's one of those things where, yes, you have to do it, but really, I love that getting involved in the community because it is such a micro marketed industry and you really are just touching on. I do think that, the AdWords and, allocating your marketing budget is important until you've reached stabilization, but then you can kind of take it easy. And that's where I think that community involvement, keeps your occupancy at grade.
Exactly. In the early days, from an investment point of view, what you want to do is see growth and growth at the right yields and the right rates. Obviously, from an investment point of view, you don't want to just, I think it used to happen years and years ago. Stack it high, sell it cheap. That isn't the model that we work on. Certainly, it's let's get the right rates on day one and let's build progressively from there. And Google's a great advantage of doing that. But this churn in your local communities, as you get to a certain level of occupancy and fill, is what it's all about.
That's great. Yeah. So just like a disclaimer here, we're asking this question on May 14th, 2021. What are your predictions for the year ahead in storage?
And so I'm glad you ended with in storage there, because my predictions for the year ahead are slightly different. I think in the UK, the self-storage industry is in a great place. From looking at some of the figures that are coming out of the city with regards to some of the institutional organisations in the UK, growth is great at the moment. We have currently in a situation where the government is assisting house buyers in the UK, which comes to an end at the end of July and runs through to September. So what we're seeing at the moment from self-storage domestic house movers is a huge spike in inquiries, people wanting to sell their properties, people who are utilising our facilities at the moment. I do believe this will come to a little bit of an end, and I do think because of the recent coronavirus pandemic, the UK may have some form of economic downturn towards the second half and the back end of this year. And I think that will have an effect on the self-storage industry. But one thing that this last 12 months has shown me more than ever before is how versatile this industry is. And I think, quite frankly, we will continue to grow. From my point of view, we've opened two facilities, brand new, state-of-the-art, multi-million-pound facilities in the last few months. I've got another site opening up in the next few weeks, and that continued growth and continued churn of building these new facilities. We've got 8-10 brand new facilities in the pipeline at this moment in time. So it's continually moving.
That's great news. This is the perfect time to get in that industry and to be in the industry.
It very much is the right time to be in the industry in the UK. I think one thing I'm also seeing from an investment perspective at the moment as well is there's a lot of people wanting to get involved in the industry. There's not many people with the knowledge and the experience of the UK market, particularly, to make this work. And I think there's a few companies have come in and had a little bit of a false start because they've had the investment, they've had the finances behind them, but not necessarily really understood what's important about the UK and how you actually choose sites and density of population of areas and what you're actually going to do. It's all good and well coming in with bucket loads of money and building up these brilliant brand new facilities, but if not in the right location and it's not been planned out correctly, I think the growth will be much slower for those people.
So there's a really smart guy, like a storage guru, R.K. Klebenstein, and he says you have to have a dead deal pile. So you basically have to invest in the feasibility studies, the due diligence, all the market research, and you've got to be able to turn away, you like not get so pot committed, but put a lot of money into knowing that that's the wrong place for you, kind of ruling them out. Otherwise, you're stuck with an asset that's not income producing. And then what?
I completely agree. I mean, we must have turned down 3, 4, 5 times the amount of facilities that we could have built this year and actually turned them down because for the investors that we were working with, they weren't in the right locations. They wouldn't have worked as well as what we are doing. Therefore, we don't want to go ahead and create facilities and opportunities which aren't going to succeed, or certainly aren't going to succeed at the level that we expect and we've come to expect over the last few years.
That's a very disciplined strategy, and I'm so happy to hear that because a lot of people will just be, let's go for it. And instead, that's great.
I think one of the most important things from my perspective is, yes, I have a vested interest, obviously, in everything that we do. But at the same time, we're dealing with other people here. We're dealing with institutions, individual investors, and things such as that. We've got to make sure we're doing the right thing for everybody involved. It's not just about building as many of these sites as possible. Making sure they're in the right location with the right demographic is key to success.
I totally agree. Before we close out, did you have any additional thoughts or comments?
I suppose it's just really, really interesting. I mean, I appreciate you inviting us on here today to discuss the UK. I think from my perspective, self-storage industry is a fantastic place to be. And I think the majority of people who I speak in the UK, other management companies, other investors, other owners and other operators, just to seeing this market grow continuously at this moment. Locations and finding the right sites is the big thing for everybody at the moment. That's the difficulty. But with obviously the right team behind us and behind other people as well, them sites are out there still in the UK. We're certainly nowhere near saturation point at this moment in time. As I said to one of my friends, obviously in the industry, only a few days ago, who's opening a site relatively close to us, is there's room for everybody at the moment. In 10 years' time, we might find the situation is a little bit different and we may have to start fighting in a car park somewhere. But until that time comes, there's room for people and there's room for growth and there's room for quality.
It's so true. And there's room for every investment strategy. When you see, some of the more sophisticated owner operators where they've got all the bells and whistles. And then you see some that are still doing their, payment through cash and they've got an Excel spreadsheet to log. If everybody works, then you can be across the street from a competitor and still coexist. But that's, you've got to look at those metrics about, and I'm sure you guys do this, where you're examining your population, what the rental community looks like in the area, what the trends are there, the gross square footage per capita. There are a lot of questions. And so I love that you guys are very diligent about,
There's space for everybody, as long as we all work together as well. And we build, and as I say, in the UK, education is the big key at the factor at the moment. Part of the Young Storage Network, which is part of the Self-Storage Association, and I chair that. And what we're trying to do is educate everybody in the industry to help each other, share information, share best practice. And by doing that, we can only continue to grow this industry across the UK.
I completely agree. And that's the beauty of an industry that's so micro-marketed, is that you can share information and you're not sharing secrets. If your competitors get stronger, you get stronger. One of the trends we've noticed is if you raise your rental rates within, that threshold of what your community can take, your competitor can raise their rental rates, and then you can just go back and forth like that, based on the tolerance of your market. But still, I mean, that's good news.
And I think that's a place where the UK market needs to continue to work towards. You know what I mean? I think America's seen it as well. It used to be discounting. And now actually I think mentalities and strategies have changed. And those who have been successful are the ones who are actually pushing the prices forward. One of the sayings I always say to my teams is, I want us to be the Stella Artois of storage, which is, in the UK, is an expensive beer. You know what I mean? It's expensive, and it's expensive because it's good. And actually, that's the motto and the message we need to be getting across to people.
I'm stealing that. That's really good. Can you share your contact information for anybody who wanted to kind of touch base with you and talk about feasibility studies, due diligence, site selection?
Of course, no problems whatsoever. I'm easily contactable on wonderful world of LinkedIn, Paul Whittaker at Show Store. You can contact me via email, which is paul@shorestore.co.uk, which is SURESTORE.co.uk. They're the best two means to get hold of me. Otherwise, speak to Alison, and I'm sure she can put you in touch with myself as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Paul. And thanks everyone for attending. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, Alison, ALISON, @listselfstorage.com. Thank you.